say make the D a D sharp, but that would make a half step between D sharp and E, but it would make a step and a half between C and D, which we wouldn't want to do. All right, so since the D was okay with the C, we want to change the E. All right, then E flat to F is supposed to be a whole step. Is that a whole step?
Yes.
Yes. It looks like it's more than a whole step, but since there's that black key missing right there, it is really only just a whole step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is supposed to be a half step, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Is G to A a half step?
No.
No, of course. It is
A flat.
It's an A flat. Very good. Now, this time we did it. A flat to B is too far, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. A flat to B is really a diminished, an augmented second, right? All right. So we're going to have to lower the B in order to make it just a whole step, not an augmented second. And then B flat to C is really just a whole step. Thank you, Daniel. Or I should say, Your Honor, King, or whatever. Mister. Your Highness. All right, so in one fell swoop, we turned the C major scale into the C minor scale. All right, now I'm going to do a couple more scales like that here for just a second. I really should put this up here and say major, or sorry, natural minor. I was just at a doctor's appointment this morning where I was talking to the doctor and pleading with him for any kind of medication that would improve her memory. And he named off 4 or 5 drugs, and I kept thinking, why can't I get those? I have no memory. Why can't I? Now, anyway, I'm gonna stop and answer Matt's question here real quick because we can kind of tie that together. Every major scale has a relative, and we consider the way it's considered relative, sort of like DNA. There is a minor scale that has the same sharps or the same flats as every major scale. So they share the sharps or flats, okay? This particular one, let's think of it this way. You just got done with a major scale chapter where we knew that E flat, or sorry, 3 flats is really what E?
No.
E flat, yeah.
No,
sorry. Yeah. So that tells us that the C minor scale is relative to the E flat major scale. And what that does is that tells us that the root of the major scale, or the start of the major scale, is a minor third above the start of its relative minor scale. Okay? Does that make sense?
How is C flat relative to E flat?
C flat is not relative to E flat. It's C, just plain C. C flat would be relative to E double flat.
So it's
Minor third down.
Minor third down, right?
but if it's C, C has no sharps or flats.
Right.
E flat has 3 flats.
That's
C
right.
minor,
But we're not comparing C major to E flat major.
You said those were the relatives.
We're C minor to E flat major. Or C, I said that right. C minor to E flat major. You're right. C major has no flats or sharps. But we're not looking for C major. We're looking for C minor that has 3 flats, which is the same as E flat major.
How do you know that C minor has the 3 flats drawn?
Well, for one thing, we just did it. But another thing is, C is a minor third below E flat.
Okay.
Okay? So no matter where and you even guessed one right. I think you said, does that mean B minor has 2 sharps? Did you ask me that yesterday?
Well, I just knew that because you said about Unfinished Symphony.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. Well, you learned more than I thought you did from playing the Unfinished Symphony. How about that? But in that case, let's think of it. D major has 2 sharps. Go down a minor third from D and you have B. The B minor scale would also have 2 sharps.
Oh,
Okay? Another way to put it, and this is how we often do it when we are asking the group that we're going to have play a certain minor key. For for instance, what I should have done, and I probably didn't do it, but when I passed out the B minor unfinished symphony, I should have said, okay, everybody, let's play first a D major scale. And I'm really going to make sound this time. F sharp, C sharp, and then I should have said, all right, play that scale again, but just start on B. Don't start on D. Start on B. So the C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. There's the B minor scale used because, and it's easy to remember because we're using the two sharps we got from D.
Okay.
Okay? Yes.
So, like, is there any way to remember what the? You just have to memorize what are, like, what do you call them? Related scales.
That's one way of doing it. That's one way of doing it. Now, Ryan started telling us yesterday about another way of doing it. You have to keep in mind that Ryan was talking about a different, just a slightly different brand. It's called parallel scales. All right, a parallel scale is, or two scales, are two scales that start on the same note. Okay? Relative scales means the minor starts a minor third lower than the major.
But
All
they
right?
have the same.
But they have the same key signature. Right. All right, yes.
Well, I forgot how to tell what key it is if it's sharps, but how do you know if it's in B minor or whatever major scale it is, if it has two?
Good question. Good. How do you know when I passed out the unfinished symphony, if you didn't look at the title, it says B minor, or if they hadn't put that on the paper, how would you know you're not in D major? Because there's two sharps.
It's true.
And you would be the one to answer it better than anybody else, because what you look for is what is the bass note that starts and ends the tune?
I don't remember
It's
that.
B.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, I
you know,
had like 20 measures of rest to start or something.
well, that's true. All right, yeah, so you wouldn't have known. But you know, when the cellos and the basses started, that was actually the first three notes of the B minor scale.
Oh,
B,
okay.
C sharp, D, B. All right, but anyway, when you see the key signature, now you have one more step to decide. Before you really knew that there was anything else to worry about in the minor scales, when you saw the key signature, you could say, when you saw the sharps and flats in the key signature, you could say, I know what key this is in. Now you have to do one more step. You have to see and say to yourself, well, it's either in D or B minor. And so let's go to the last chord and look at the bass note of the last chord and say, well, it sure would be weird to write a tune in D major, but end the last note of it on B, wouldn't it? You would probably end a song in D major on D. Yes?
So, if, like, are they pretty much the same thing though, besides where things start and end? Like, the same.
You mean the relatives? Or?
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So, like, if you're going to pick a scale to improv off of, you could do either or.
They will change in that particular case because the common chord, or the most useful chords in D major would be D, G, and A.
Yeah.
The most useful chords in B minor would be B, E, and F sharp. In
Okay.
other words, what you used to call 1, 4, and 5 in this key will be 3,
Oh.
6, and 7
So it's
in
just,
this key.
like, it doesn't change the notes, it just
Right.
changes when you play it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so now here's what Ryan was trying to tell you yesterday, and it also works very well when we're talking about a parallel key. For instance, if you don't want to guess at the minor third below, you can say, I know that for every major scale, the minor scale that starts on the same note, all I have to do is add 3 flats. Or, if it has sharps, cancel 3 sharps. Or if it has only 2 sharps, cancel
Add a
2
flat.
sharps and add 1 flat.
And that's to do what? Sorry.
To identify the minor scale from a major scale.
Oh,
Okay? In other words, C minor and C major don't have much in common because C major has no flats or sharps. C minor has 3 flats. But as parallels, you can say To make a C minor out of a C major scale, I just have to add 3 flats, and that's what we did, E flat, A flat, and B flat. Okay?
Okay.
Alright, so